No matter if points are gained or points are lost, there will be much to discuss. For analysis regarding tonight's Winnipeg Jets game, here are Dave Minuk, Ezra Ginsburg, and your host, Drew Mandel. The Illegal Curve post-game show starts now.
I mean, I'm watching the video again and again. It's nonstop. I don't. What do we call him? Is he whiplash guy? Is he neck crack guy? Like, what are we calling him? This man is famous, and I need to know what he's being referred to online after his incredible performance in the stands of tonight's Jets victory over the Detroit Red Wings. We need to come to consensus. You two geniuses came up with the GST line years ago, along with Jay Richardson. Got to give Jay credit there as well. But what are we calling this guy with his neck cracking neck adjustment that we saw in the third period of tonight's game? Neither of you? Nobody?
Well, as he's frozen for whatever reason, so we've lost Az. But
okay, well, maybe that's usually we're off to a good start.
There goes Ginsburg. All right, we lost Ezzy. All right, solid beginning to this show. Drew, you didn't even do your intro. Do you want to start with your intro, then we'll get into it, or?
I guess we can start with the intro.
Because I mean, Drew, you haven't been on the show in a while. If you're not doing an intro,
I know
it's just not a show.
I just
also you have to explain this to the people who are listening on the podcast. Don't have the ability to have the visual, although we haven't actually shown anything, so people might. Ooh, I like that. The official intern.
Yeah. That's not bad, Bailey. The Snap Crackle Pop guy might be what we're calling him from now on. We're gonna go through the video in detail on the second half of the show, the nonsense half of the show, if you will. So stay tuned if you don't know what we're talking about. We will be showing the video and breaking it down with a telestrator. I believe that we've really gone in depth. I think we've spared no expense to bring this to the viewing public that are joining us this evening.
Can people see that?
Yeah, there you go. People can see it now. Yeah, you're showing it on your phone.
I'll press play again.
Yeah, there you go. It's it's just, I mean, it's an incredible maneuver that I'm really not sure about, but we'll show it in greater detail on the second half of the show. But I'll start off by saying good evening, Winnipeg. Good evening, Manitoba. And for all those joining us, I see that Spencer something saying there's a nonsense half of the show. That's a fair point, Spencer.
Good point.
Yeah, exactly. But I'll say good evening to everyone joining us. This is the Illegal Curve post-game show. Drew Mandel, Dave Minuk, Ginsburg was here. You had the three of us back together for all of about 8 seconds, and then Ginsburg froze. So he's going to come on very shortly, hopefully, assuming his computer starts working again. But Dave M., good to see you, my man. How are you? It has been a long time since we've all been back together. We were briefly together last Saturday, but we are now back together again and looking forward to some post-game analysis after a much-needed Jets victory over the Detroit Red Wings. I'm not sure if the 10,000-pound gorilla has been completely slain. I wouldn't say that it has, but at the
he's alive. He's in the he's just below me.
Oh, he's below you. No, that's the 10,000 Ezra gorilla. There's a difference between that gorilla and the other gorilla. But in any event, a much-needed, easy victory for the Winnipeg Jets tonight. You could sense the feeling of relief. I'm not going to say that everything is fixed and it's a cure for how this team has played, but for one night at least, the team can feel good about themselves with a commanding 6-2 victory over the Detroit Red Wings.
Yeah, absolutely, Drew. And it was one of those needed, the joy was back in Joyland for tonight, at least. And, we Drew loves his out of town scoreboard. So I know folks were already watching to see the Vancouver Canucks are up 1-0 over the Calgary Flames.
Yeah.
So, I mean, this is a potential, significant night for Winnipeg we know the Predators lost yesterday to the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I think it was yesterday, though, Ezzy's back. Yesterday. So it was yesterday. There we go. We got Ezzy back in the chat. As we were so worried about you that you were so deep thinking the question, which, as to what the name is going to be, that you were lost to us. But don't worry. And for the record, if anybody's confused as to what we're talking about, again, go on Ezzy's Twitter, go on my Twitter, go on the Illegal Curve Twitter, or go on any of our social media on Instagram, and you'll see what we were discussing.
Well, the guy was just cracking his neck, clearly he was just stretching and had no idea that he was on TV, right? but it's just the way he was doing it. It was like, it was like The Exorcist when his head was going to spin the entire
swivel
way around, right? That's why it was.
No, Drew, save your analysis. We're talking about the being back in Joyland. Okay. Folks haven't been able to talk about a win and an easy win.
I'm worried that Drew wants to talk more about that head spinning guy than he actually wants to talk about the Jets 6-2 victory here, Dave.
Exactly. It's possible, but the reality is, the fact is that the fans.
What are you going to remember most about this game? Are you going to remember the
head cracking guy for sure?
Head spinning guy for sure.
Yeah, there's no question. But the reality is, well, look, the Jets needed to make an adjustment in this game, and therefore they did. They did
nailed
because
it, Dave. Absolutely nailed it there.
Thank you. But the point is that they needed to win. They needed an easy win. They needed to get the good feeling back in the room. And I don't care. Look, the Jets have played. Sometimes they played well against teams in a back-to-back. Sometimes they haven't. Detroit, we know, played and won against the Carolina Hurricanes. Not a bad team last night in Detroit. And so the Jets, got everybody having that good feeling. And everybody had a piece of this win. Blake Wheeler, Mark Scheifele, Nikolai Ehlers, Nino Niederreiter, the entire team. And the truth is, and Ezzy and I were talking about it, in the press box tonight, there could have been like 10 more goals in this game, And so the fact of the matter is, this was one of those situations where everybody got a piece of it. Vlad Nemesnikov got up, with his assists. Adam Lowry could have had some empty net goals, and Mark Scheifele could have had his 40th. He had an easy tap and then he missed. So there were a lot of guys who and Dylan DeMello, the offensive dynamo that he is without Josh Morrissey. And we should mention, of course, that, that Rick Bowness said in the morning skate that there was a potential guy who was going to be a game time decision. Turned out the game time decision was Josh Morrissey, who didn't take warm-up skates. So we knew Logan Stanley was going to go in. And of course, the new look lines, Mark Scheifele is the winger. I mean, it looks like that's going to be a permanent thing, right, Ezzy? So the Jets are feeling good about themselves. They'll have a tough battle on Sunday against the Devils, but the reality, a team, by the way, who will be playing a back-to-back, it's all played on Saturday.
Calgary, same with Calgary
as well. But I don't want to get too far ahead of it, Drew. We haven't even talked about this game. So, again, this is a game that everybody had a piece of.
Yeah, absolutely. And you mentioned, Scheifele's move to the wing, something that we have not seen very much. We have seen it before, but very briefly, right? And the message was delivered. And really, that third period, I agree with Dave. Like, the Jets probably could have had a couple more goals. It could have been 5-0 after one period as opposed to 3-0. But I mean, that first period really is how you scripted it, right? Like how you wanted it to go, right? I should say. And, you get an early goal, and you're right. I mean, this was not just, a great game from Nick Ehlers and maybe one or two other players. This was a team victory. And yeah, the Red Wings score a couple of goals in the third period, but I mean, that's the definition of garbage time, right? Like, those goals mean nothing. Yeah. Maybe if they score a third goal, then it might be a little bit interesting, but I don't think many people watching that game thought the Red Wings were going to storm back and beat the Jets. and it's kind of funny, right? Because we've talked about this all the years we've been doing the show. And David Perron is maybe at the top of the list of Jets killers, and he got a goal, even though, it had nothing to do with the outcome of the game, right? The game was already over long before that. But yeah, I mean, this is what the Jets needed, right? And you have to hope that this leads to more good things if you're a Jets fan, right? Because, I mean, the Devils, contrary to what we thought maybe, a few weeks back, we thought, the Devils and Rangers were locked in to play each other 2 versus 3, right? That Metropolitan Division, similar to what's happening at the top of the Central Division, I mean, the Devils could, in theory, still, catch the Hurricanes and pass them, right? So that's not going to be an easy game Sunday. And we know that if the Jets play, similar to the way they did in this game, they can beat the Devils, no problem. But, the Devils are a really skilled team, even though, you think that the Jets are going to be.
How have you managed to turn the post-game show into you already talking about your Devils? That's
no, I'm not.
We haven't even talked about this game, and you're already rambling on about your Devils. You love the Devils, as is what I'm saying there, but you're absolutely right.
Sorry, Drew, I was worried there my computer was going to shut down again. I think it might be time, boys, to get a new computer. What do you think?
I'm going to go out on a limb and say if it just shuts down on its own, that's usually a good sign that you might need to get a new laptop. And, folks, maybe we can, see if we can pass the hat around and see if we can all chip in, and to buy you a new laptop and everything else. We'll see if people are willing to contribute to the Ginsburg GoFundMe page. But after the previous week's conversations where we talked about, what did we talk about? I think we talked about your housekeeping money and other things like that you store your your millions in the snowbank as opposed to a regular bank, I think you might be on your own for finding funds to replace a ye old laptop there, Mr. Ezra.
Ye old MacBook for sure. Yeah, my phone's blowing up here, probably to do with Neck Guy.
Well, I will say that we did have a great comment from someone who just said he's trying to wake himself up. He thinks he's dreaming. That's a good one.
That is funny. Yeah,
that's not bad.
What really made it was once you put the spin me round music, like that's the type of content, Dave, that I think everybody needed.
Once get the madness of Manuk and Ginsburg are sitting beside each other.
It's like Spielberg and Tarantino.
Once that we're sitting there on that couch watching, Ezzy and I both looked at each other simultaneously and we're like, "What did we just see?" Hit the pause button, rewind. And we knew we had some gold. But anyways, back to the game. We'll talk. We'll save our minutia and our Ginsburg for after the commercial break.
Did you just change the word minutia to minutia? Is that what just happened there?
Well, that's not me. That's Ezzy.
Oh, yeah. We've been doing that for a while.
Oh, okay. It's good.
Come on, Drew. I know you've been away from the show for a bit, but come on.
I've been away. I clearly. This is what happens when we go away and then we come back together.
Spency Sutton just said, "Here you go."
Spency's throwing the toonies around again.
There you go. Looks like Ezzy's up to 279 in his GoFund Ginsburg computer drive. But we appreciate the support, Spency, as always. The Jets. Let's talk about tonight's game. So 6-2 victory for the Jets, and you knew that coming into tonight's game, this was an opportunity. You're playing against the Detroit Red Wings team that is not very good. They're decisively average at best. They played last night, which means they probably didn't arrive to the hotel in Winnipeg until, let's say, 2:30 in the morning. It was going to be an uphill challenge for the Red Wings, but the Jets so often lately have played down to the level of their competition. So I think what everyone is excited to see about tonight's contest, and again, let's not get carried away and say that this team is all of a sudden back to where they were at the beginning of the year for the first 30 games. But what you're excited to see is the Jets took care of business handily, like you should. Right. Against a weaker opponent. And that's what happened tonight. They jumped on them early, they jumped on them often, and then they didn't let up until, the latter half of the third period when it was already 6-0 at that point in time. So that's what you want to see, one team better than the other, imposing their will and taking control of the game.
Yeah, absolutely, Drew. The point that resonated with me there was that, you wanted it to be pretty much over after the first period, right? Like, and that's what the Jets did. And there's no doubt that for anybody that's watched this team, that they have been getting scoring chance after scoring chance and not finishing, right? And I don't think any of the goals tonight you would call lucky, right? Like Kyle Connor, beautiful tip, right? Like Blake Wheeler, beautiful pass and rush from Nick Ehlers, right? Like Dave mentioned Dylan DeMello's goal. That was a beautiful goal. Like that was a nice shot from, roughly, 35, 40 feet away, but that was blocker side, really nice shot. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about DeMello, Drew. I remember you singled him out a few games back on the California road trip. Like, this is arguably like Josh Morrissey's obviously having his best career year and hopefully will be a Norris Trophy finalist. I don't think he's necessarily going to win because Erik Karlsson's on his way to putting up 100 points, but DeMello, who often plays with Morrissey, obviously, I mean, he's a guy who you would call a defensive defenseman and you would say, okay, if he gets 2 or 3 goals, but, as Dave pointed out on the IC Twitter machine, DeMello has, picked his spots and he's had a nice offensive year in addition to being one of the Jets' most reliable defensemen. So this was a team effort and, the effort was there. I mean, even though you didn't score on the power play, the Jets had a lot of good chances. And I realized that you're not going to take a lot of moral victories when you still didn't get a power play goal. But I actually thought that, you guys might disagree, but I thought the power play looked quicker, crisper, right? So
I think the whole team did, top to bottom. They looked crisper. Right. And I think that, look, we know what the Jets look like when they're playing their best. They're playing with speed. They're playing with aggression. And they're playing with a degree of confidence that you just hadn't seen for so many games in a row.
The swagger's back, Drew, right?
Well, the swagger was there tonight. I'm not going as far to say the swagger's back because, like you said, the New Jersey Devils on
sure.
Sunday.
Yeah, they have to follow it up for sure. You're right, Drew. One game, you can only get so many accolades for a good win, right? You need to put 2 or 3 solid games together before, we're going to say that this team is ready for the first round of the playoffs and ready to win some games, right?
Mm-hmm. No question. So you do what you needed to do tonight, and you can only take it one game at a time from this Jets perspective. But they looked from the start, Dave. They looked fast, and they looked like they should. But I mean, you had a couple days off. There's no reason why you shouldn't look like that. They had a practice yesterday. I believe you were there, if I'm not mistaken. And they spoke about they met the scuttlebutt at practice was that it was a loose group, that they weren't tight, that it wasn't a quiet practice.
Yeah.
And that translated on the ice like it should. Again, it's only one game, but we can only give analysis of one game at a time. So from tonight's perspective, for a team that needed something good to happen, they got that good thing to happen.
Yeah, and you're right, Drew. That was my assessment at practice yesterday at Canada Life. I mean, I was there and I was watching them because they did seem like a loose group. There was a lot of chatter, a lot of smiles, and there that pressure of Calgary and Nashville chasing them, which is real, obviously. It didn't seem like it was evident the way the team was. The team seemed loose. They seemed happy. There was a lot of smiling. And again, like, you do want to, like, I think Brendan Dillon talked about it, this idea of like, you have to be aware, but you also have to be able to, you don't want to see them tight. You didn't want to see them like in not really like glowering and everyone lamenting, what their fate is, because you still have control of your destiny, which was the overarching theme of guys like Pierre-Luc Dubois who spoke, and who I'm trying to think who the other person who spoke was. Adam Lowry. So there wasn't a hanging their heads in like, oh shucks, we're in this, like, woe is me. It was more just like, okay, well, we know we are where we are. We still control our own destiny, and we'll still try and, put our big boy pants on and our work boots and go to work tomorrow night against the Detroit Red Wings, obviously, because this being practiced on Thursday. And like I said, it was funny because we weren't certain what it was going to look like, right? Because we saw, and it was weird because I was in practice and I was talking to some of the guys, and I'm watching the first line rushes, and I'm like, why does it look like Mark Scheifele's on the wing? And I'm like, and it's funny because John Liu from TSN was asking me, and he almost didn't, it was almost like he disbelieved me that what I was seeing, like my lying eyes. And I'm like, no, I'm pretty sure I'm seeing Mark Scheifele alongside Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kyle Connor. And then of course we saw the rest of the lines kind of, fill out from there, and they seem to work. And like Blake Wheeler, I wasn't certain what we were going to see. Blake Wheeler looked completely revitalized today. His legs were back. In a way we haven't seen from him in quite some time. So it was interesting for me to see how these lines were going to go. And so, yeah, it was a good effort overall from this Jets club. And it's one game. So we jokingly were talking about planning the parade. You're not doing that quite yet, but it was an impressive effort overall from this Jet team, which needed to have it, and they had it, and they got the fans into it. And so it was a good night in Winnipeg for Jets fans and the Jets team alike.
We'll spend more time tomorrow on the Saturday morning show, 9 a.m. Back here on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms, talking about the revamped forward lines. But it's worth noting that, in terms of expected goals for percentage, the top line of Connor, Scheifele, and Dubois was the worst of all four Jets lines tonight. They had an expected goals for percentage of just under 44%. The second line the revamped second line of Ehlers, Namestnikov, Wheeler was up around 80%. So again, we'll delve deeper into that tomorrow on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show. But there is still probably some room for improvement and some adjustment. Regarding the forward line.
Scheifele's not staying on the wing. I mean, we might see it as soon as Sunday versus the Devils, but this is temporary. This is as temporary. I think you try to get him going, and this was. I mean, David mentioned we were in the press box for the first couple of periods. Slump buster. We were talking about that with Judy Owen of the Canadian Press, right? Like, look at Wheeler slumped, busted, right? Scheifele slump busted. I mean, Connor already broke his slump, so he continues to play really well.
Nino Niederreiter, has he?
But you're absolutely right, Drew. I mean, you criticize Rick Bowness for some of his poor line combinations, but this worked. But I think everybody knows that Scheifele's going back up the middle pretty soon.
I would expect that he likely will. I would agree with that. I don't expect that this is going to be a permanent change, but for tonight's perspective, and that's what the Jets are in, the position they're in, they can't think long term. Because if they keep thinking long term, the season's going to end in about 12 days time after their final couple games on the road. They need to get the one win at a time. I mean, the truth is, if the Jets can take care of business on this homestand, which now has 4 more games on it, the last 2 games of the regular season,
they won't matter.
They won't matter. Yeah. That's just it. They won't matter. So and
the games, like you said, Drew, the games coming up against Nashville and Calgary, that's the season right there. And if you're able to beat the Devils, you could probably get into the playoffs only having to win, a couple of your last 5 games, right? Because we've got 6 games left here. So you've probably got to win, you might get in, with only 4 more points, but to make sure that you're in the playoffs, you probably have to win 3 of your last 6.
Yeah, I would say that's probably, that would require the Flames and the Predators to, to go, obviously the Flames and the Jets are going to have played the same number of games, but that means that the Flames will have to almost win, 5 out of their last 6. The Preds would have to win a similar amount. The Predators play the Blues tomorrow. It is now legitimately scoreboard watching season, and the Jets
still 1-0 Vancouver, by the way.
Yeah, I think it's after they're in the second intermission, if I'm not, or pardon me, the first intermission, if I'm not mistaken. And the Jets are in a position where they just need to do what they need to do on home ice like they did tonight. Let's get into it. The Betway game recap is brought to you by our friends at Betway, one of the most trusted voices in sports betting, both in Canada and all around the world. The official title sponsor here of the Illegal Curve post-game show. Betway is the sports betting app that puts you, the customer, at the forefront with a large selection of betting options in sports, as well as strong promotions and fair odds. What are you waiting for? Head on over to Betway and bet your way. Must be 19 years or older to play. Please play responsibly. For the first time in Lord knows how long, the Jets open the scoring, and they do so at the 6:56 mark of the first period. Kyle Connor gets his 29th goal of the season, assist to Brendan Dillon and Mark Scheifele. It's a play that if you go back and watch it from the beginning, it's sort of a broken play, but then the Jets recover. Brendan Dillon actually gets an assist here, but he starts the play with a bad turnover. And then he makes a strong defensive play almost immediately thereafter to negate the bad turnover. The puck gets onto the stick of Pierre-Luc Dubois, and he chips and chases, and he does so successfully. And then Mark Scheifele goes in, and he gets the loose puck, and then it's back out to Brendan Dillon at the point. And look where Kyle Connor is when he gets this tip. It's not on the outside. It's not something that required a exceptional shot. Kyle Connor is between the 2 face-off circles, and he gets a great tip, beating Magnus Hellberg to give the Jets a 1-0 lead. Ezzy.
Yeah, no, your breakdown was bang on, Drew. He's in his wheelhouse, right? You like that Red Wings reference there? No, but I mean, that's the slot, right? We talk about the inner slot all the time, right? Like the analytics, it's all about the inner slot shots and inner slot tips, right? And you mentioned Dubois. I'm glad that you mentioned Dubois because he does the quote unquote heavy lifting here, right? Like dumps the puck in, gets it himself, beats out. I think it was Jake Wallman watching the replay here. Yeah, like it was Wallman. Scheifele gets it back. Like what I liked here is the support. Everybody was supporting everybody there, right? And that's what you saw a lot more of. Like we've talked about it so much, over this last, I don't know, however many games, 20 games, 30 games here. Like a lot of the times the Jets have been forcing plays and trying to do a little bit too much either on the power play at even strength. So I just love the fact that, this is, just good puck management, getting the shot back. It's a beautiful tip though, Dave. Like that really, stands out to me on this goal. Like that is not a fluke tip. That is a goal scorer's tip. Just a beautiful tip. I actually up in the press box thought it might've been Dubois that tipped it originally, or maybe it was a double tip, but it was all Kyle Connor's goal. So just love the puck support there. And just love the beauty tip by Connor.
Well, and just quickly, as I just want to jump in and say, it's one of those situations where it's funny, and I said this to you in the press box, how interesting is it that Kyle Connor, who, has having such a, quote, bad season from his perspective, is still close to hitting 30 goals and 50 assists. Like he's the leading scorer, obviously, of the Winnipeg Jets. But it's amazing to me that, for him, it's a down season from a goal scoring with 2 big snaps, right? The first one at the beginning of the season where he had 2 goals in 14 games. And then this one where he's got, I think, 2 goals in like 15 games. So realistically, he's had a long stretch of time where he's got 4 goals in almost 30 games. And yet he's still going to, get to 30 and 50. So an impressive season nonetheless from Kyle Connor. And yeah, as he's right, it just goes to show you that, playing just the tip can sometimes work.
Very clever, Mr.
Just
Dave.
move on, Drew. Just move on.
Thank you. I'll just move right on over that. Jets make it 2-0. And now talk about, for a team desperate to get a 1-goal lead, a 2-goal lead for this team must seem like they're up by a dozen goals. Blake Wheeler at the 11:57 mark, he gets off the schneid, and it had been a long, long time since the former Jets captain had scored.
22 games, Drew.
Yeah, well, that's a long, long time, my friend. Blake Wheeler, his 16th of the year, assist to Nikolai Ehlers and Nemesnikov. And Nemesnikov makes a nice play. Ehlers is attacking with speed. And what we've said over and over on this show, we've been saying it for, 76 games this year, although minus the ones where he was out of the lineup. And for years before that, Ehlers with speed is an absolutely dangerous thing for the opposition to have to face. And he comes in with speed. He picks up the pass from Nemesnikov. Whether or not it was a deliberate pass by Nemesnikov is irrelevant. It counts as a pass nonetheless. He put it into some soft space. Ehlers comes in with a head of speed, and he makes an absolutely beautiful pass, tape to tape, onto Blake Wheeler's stick, and Wheeler just redirects it into the yawning cage to make it 2-0 for the Jets, just over halfway into the first period, Dave.
I'll go ahead. I thought you were throwing it to me. I wanted to jump in there.
Okay, I kind of ended the last one, even though I didn't really get a big part of the analysis.
You never know where I'm going to go. You never know where I'm going to go.
Yeah, we need maybe a raise hand function here, boys. But yeah, like you mentioned, he comes in with speed. Ehlers. He came off the bench, right? And right after that goal was scored, I'm like, this is exactly the way you want to jump off the bench, right? Like, and you're right, Nemesnikov, he gets it through to him, but it was kind of like a little bit of a flubber, right? But you love the fact that, first off, you love that Wheeler goes right to the net, right? And he knows Ehlers, if he goes to the net, Ehlers is a guy that's going to put it right on his stick. So you, like you said, Drew, you love the speed because everybody knows that Ehlers has speed. It's that when he uses it in the right context, right? And, this is a situation where, the Red Wings were just completely flat-footed, right? And they just couldn't do anything about it. And I forget if it was Wallman or whoever the defenseman was, doesn't tie up Wheeler, but Wheeler goes right to the net, puts his stick exactly where it needs to be, and Ehlers finds it. So again, execution, should be maybe the word of the day. Like the execution there from the Jets, especially early on in this game, the first period, was on. Like these guys, they had their eyes on the net. They wanted to score goals. And what I was going to say earlier when Dave was talking about, how much needed this victory was, like, this was a long time coming, guys. Like, I thought this was going to come against the Coyotes at home. And then I thought it was going to come, maybe against the Ducks. And even though the Jets beat the Ducks, it wasn't exactly a, convincing victory, right? And then I thought it was going to come against the Sharks after they lost to the Kings. So, I mean, to me, this was a game that I thought was going to happen, 5 or 6 games ago. But yeah, I loved Ehlers' game tonight. I thought that was one of his better games of the year, actually.
I would agree with that.
And sorry, just quickly, I was just gonna say it's funny because as he said earlier, we were in the press box together, and I leaned over to Ezzy, and I'm like, boy, that looked like offside. And I really thought it was offside. And it's funny because I don't know if it was Bailey, the unofficial intern or official intern. I can't remember what we're calling Bailey anymore.
No, Bailey's official.
Yeah, but no, she changed her bio though to the unofficial official intern of all Winnipeg Sports podcast. But
hey, the real question is, who bought more Girl Guide cookies from Bailey? Did Illegal Curve?
I still have to transfer Bailey. I still have to send you an e-transfer. I got your message.
The e-transfer already, Ginsburg. So
yeah, but you bought 3 boxes. I only bought 1. And
you got me. Technically, Drew got for me as well.
I got 5 as well.
You got me chocolate, right, Drew?
I don't know, Bailey, with whatever Dave's getting. I'm not sure, but
obviously
got 5
Drew
boxes.
has Girl Guide money.
Well, I don't spend it all on and throw it in the snowbank like you do.
Well, Bailey had 9 boxes to sell, and hopefully I see.
It's funny, Dave, because Bailey, I texted, I think we were DMing on Twitter, and I told Bailey, like, how many do you have left? And she said 3. So I took 1 because I wanted her to be able to, have a few more. Girl Guide cookies. I mean, for those people who have never had, most people have had Girl Guide cookies, but those Girl Guide cookies are like, they're very valuable. Like, they're sought after is what I meant to say. They're really good. So pumped for that.
Well, anyways, the point is that that was very great. But what I was going to say is, No, it's funny. So Bailey put up the quote about Wheeler because Wheeler, I guess he was talking to Sarah after the game on the other post-game show. And he must have said that he thought he was holding off on his celebration because he thought it was offside as well. So it's funny because I said to Ez, and the Wings did watch it for a second. You could see that they were considering a challenge, and then ultimately they decided against it. So
Dave, the only thing I think is offside right now is your analysis.
That was nice.
Disagree.
To humor him with that laugh, Dave, because I really wasn't that funny.
That was more of a kind of a chuckle,
yeah.
little high, not a high course But anyways, I was going to say that the point is that it was a nice play by Ehlers, and as he illustrated how he came off the bench and really attacked with speed, and Blake Wheeler did what the Jets have needed to do, which is go to the front of the net and be there. And Rick Bowness has talked about it, spoke about it today in his media availability, and one of the things that you needed to see, once that happened, of course, was the crowd. Again, the crowd was like loving it because suddenly I
haven't seen the crowd like that in a really long time. Like this was, and that's what I said. Dave and I are walking to the arena. I'm like, I hope the Jets win for the fans. Obviously, you want them to win for themselves so that they can lock up the playoff spot. But it's been a rough patch here for everybody, right? And I agree with you. I mean, the fans were absolutely rocking. We didn't see the wave, Dave, which was nice because I know you don't like the wave. But yeah, that crowd.
No, I changed my mind on the wave actually.
As soon as the Jets scored the first goal, like they had the crowd, at that point. So it was nice to see, the crowd be really into it, and the Jets give them a big time victory to be excited about.
And Drew, before we jump into the goals, we should give a shout out to athletic trainer Brad Shaw. He was working his athletic. I think it's junior athletic therapist Brad Shaw, who's working his 1,000th pro game in Winnipeg sports. So congratulations to him. He was honored nicely by the team wearing shirts and on the Jumbotron. And so it was a nice moment for him.
Yes. Well done. Exactly. That was a good,
and also nice to you, Dave, you recently went to your 1,000th Moose game.
Congratulations to Dave on that milestone. He was also honored on the Jumbotron by them asking, why are you here? And don't you have anywhere better to be? But
no, they Colin Peterson, who of course is in charge. He posted it when he said, Manuk, why are you still asleep? Although I have to give the Moose credit. Great post-game music during, I guess it was the Sharks game. So while I was working on my recap, watching the Sharks first period, I don't know who was rocking the tunes, but they were fantastic.
Okay. Good
Speaking of that, like, can we all agree that I like Mambo number 5 when Nate Schmidt scores? But when they play This Is How We Do It, Montel Jordan, when Dylan DeMello scores, I'm sorry, it's unbelievable.
It is pretty funny.
Well, we'll get to that goal coming up momentarily. But first, we have Mark Scheifele's 39th goal to talk about, a career high for the Winnipeg Jets winger. He gets that at the 13:34 mark of the first period to make it 3-0. Assist to Neil Pionk and Kyle Connor. And look, go to the net. And that's another one of these instances where he goes to the net. I believe it's Alex Chason, if I'm not mistaken, who he shakes off. And
Alex Chason is on the Red Wings?
Wasn't it Chason? Who was it?
Alex
Chason. It was Alex Chason.
Okay,
don't confuse me. I was right. Thank you very much. It was Alex Chason.
Whoa.
I was making a joke, Drew. I was making a joke. Honestly, like some of the Red Wings, like you had to remind yourself like who was in this lineup. Like it's I guess the word I would describe it as is a little bit of a weak lineup tonight.
No question about that. But in any event, I got that one right for once. It was Alex Chason who is in a chase position, and Scheifele comes wheeling around the net.
Chason was chasing.
There you go. And he's right there to deposit the rebound to make it 3-0. And you look at the Jets' goals in tonight's game. They get 6 of them, and 5 of the 6 are from right next to the blue paint, or they're from right between the circles. They're in the dirty area. 5 of the 6 goals, for the Jets in tonight's game, this being the third one, that makes it 3-0 for the Jets at this point in time. And you feel like the Jets couldn't have had a better start to the game than they did tonight with the 3-0 lead after 20 minutes, Dave.
Again, or Ezra,
whichever one of you wants to talk.
I was like, waiting.
Dave, even I can see our viewers can't see it, but I can see Dave muted right before you were about to throw it, and then I thought it was going to be me. But I
was getting ready. I was getting ready to send out a tweet letting people know that the party is underway here on the Illegal Curve postgame show.
I am rusty.
The Elite Eight. He comes back. He thinks he's elite, and he's being a little bit sloppy tonight.
Bobby got a little sloppy, and his name's Mendel.
Yeah, exactly. Kyle Connor does just some great work here, like just cycling, skating, and obviously, I mean, this goal it's a nice goal because, as Drew's right, I mean, clearly, I mean, and the thing is, the Jets tonight, I thought they played, what they were preaching, I guess, right? Like they were going to the net, and some of these goals are not beautiful. This one was not good. Like this was it's like the goal that I scored when I played A3 hockey for the River Heights Cardinals. It was the overtime winner that sent us to the city finals. We didn't win, but it sent us to the city finals. And there is a VHS copy of that goal. If anybody would like to see that, just email me, Ezra@illegalcurve.com. Maybe the greatest accomplishment of my sporting career.
We can digitize that pretty easily. We know somebody who digitizes video cassette tapes, and we could air that on the show. I'm just saying.
We could. Yeah. I don't think anybody wants to see it, Drew, but we definitely could air it. But no, getting back to that goal. I mean, look, it's sometimes you get the bounces. That was a lucky bounce because it was a little knuckle puck from Neil Pionk from the point, but Scheifele's there and he puts it in. And could Magnus Hellberg have stopped that? Sure, but he didn't. And it was over at that point. 3-0 up on the Red Wings. Second game of a back-to-back, guys. Like they were pretty lethargic throughout the game. But yeah, I like the fact that the Jets were more focused tonight and going harder to the net than we've seen in recent memory.
That's exactly right. I mean, they went harder to the net and they did what they needed to do. And it wasn't all perimeter. It was go get traffic, get multiple layers in front of a goalie that, frankly, Magnus Hellberg is not going to be in the running or at the top of anyone's name list of best goalies in the league. This is a guy who, is a journeyman goaltender.
It was a hellish goalie matchup, though.
Yes, I saw that Hellbuck against Hellberg. And
I saw that for Mike McIntyre.
I know you did. And I saw there's a Hell Michigan as well. So very Hell-oriented kind of game. But it was Hell tonight in net for Hellberg. And it was 3-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes.
Hold on, Drew. Uno momento, por favor. Because after the 3-0 goal by the Jets, they did honor Andrew Kopp, who made his return to Winnipeg.
What a nice ovation, Dave. That was nice. That was nice for him. He played here for a long time, and it was a nice ovation. Yeah.
Well, draft and developed kid from Michigan, of course, and really earned his stripes, if you will. Got his big contract courtesy of his. I'm not saying because of the Jets or Winnipeg, but he became a player here in Winnipeg and matured into what he's become, and obviously was very good for the New York Rangers.
He came here as a boy and he left a man, Dave, is what you're saying.
He did exactly. But I wasn't saying it, but sure, I'll go along with that But the reality is that look, Andrew Kopp, got a nice ovation when he was shown on the jumbotron during the starting lineup when he was during the anthems, and then when they did the ovation, it was, and again, captured. So you can watch it if you didn't get a chance to see it. Did they show it during the commercial breakthrough? Or,
they came back from commercial and showed it. So they didn't show it live, but they came back and they showed Kopp, receiving his.
And you could see he acknowledged the crowd, touched his heart and gave a wave. So that was nice from him, and a nice ovation, nice warm Winnipeg friendly Manitoba welcome back for Andrew Kopp. So again, if you didn't see it on the broadcast or live, you can watch it on the Illegal Curve Instagram account.
There you go. Exactly. 3-0 for the Jets after 20 minutes. We say good evening to everyone. If you're just joining us, this is the Illegal Curve post-game show, the Betway game recap brought to you by our friends at Betway. After 20 minutes, the Jets led 3-0. Then they put a little bit more on that, making it 4-0. Dylan DeMello, his career high, 5th goal of the season, assist to Mason Appleton and Adam Lowry. This one is a snipe from DeMello, or at least as close to a snipe as we had in tonight's game.
It was a snipe. It was for sure a snipe. It was a nice shot.
Yeah, top corner, top shelf. Nice play by Dylan DeMello. Played a very good game without his usual D partner in Josh Morrissey. This shot and goal by DeMello is our Seagram shot of the game. Seagram's VO, masterfully blended, distinctly Canadian. Get your favorite Seagram's product at your local liquor mart or wherever fine liquor is sold near you. This made it 4-0 for the Jets at the 120 mark. So early in the the second period, you're wondering how are the Jets going to come out after they come out like a house on fire to start the game. Well, they come out equally as hot in the second period, making it 4-0, nice and early, Mr. Ginsburg.
Yeah, and what you got to love about this goal, I don't remember Dylan Larkin was on. So if he was on, I believe it was the entire first line. So this is the Jets' third line versus the Red Wings' first line. And, we talked about the shot, and, we'll get into it a little bit more. But I like how DeMello, if you watch it, and I've got it up here on one of my tabs, he moves in, 10 feet in from the blue line. He just puts himself in a great position to receive that pass from Appleton. And it's a nice little pass from Appleton, right? Like Appleton and Lowry do the dirty work on the boards there. And I just love the shot, right? Like it's a really nicely placed shot. And Hellberg comes out and challenges him, but he just beats him blocker side. So, again, we talked about it earlier, but, just great to see DeMello contributing offensively because you really think of him more. He is a shutdown defensive. There's no doubt. Like nobody thinks now all of a sudden Dylan DeMello scored his 5th goal of the year, for a career high. And all of a sudden, he's Bobby Orr. Nobody thinks that, but, got to give him respect for a really nice goal here. And, if it wasn't already out of reach, the game was out of reach early in the second period with the Wings down 4-0.
Yeah, I saw a good comment. I think it was from Garrett Hull, our friend on Twitter, who said that, Dylan DeMello's game can adapt to whomever he's playing with. So when he plays with Morrissey, the Jets rely on him in that situation as more of a defensive defenseman, more of a shutdown defenseman. But in tonight's game where Morrissey didn't play, by the way, Rick Bowness updating Morrissey's status as he expects him not to skate tomorrow, but to play on Sunday. He's under the weather with an illness. So it's, the expectation is that Morrissey will be back in the lineup on Sunday. But playing in a different role tonight, DeMello is able to step up and play more of an offensive role than the defensive role that we're used to seeing him play with Morrissey, Dave. So he's sort of a chameleon, Dylan DeMello, and he's having a very fine season for the Winnipeg
It's actually a chameleonaire.
Well,
riding dirty.
He's riding dirty. He's adaptable. And look, as he just touched on, 5 goals. That's his career high. Career high for points with 23, both set with the Ottawa Senators in the 18-19 season. So Dylan DeMello is providing what the Jets needed, which was some offense from the back end. It's one of the things that Rick Bowness has preached throughout the course of taking over this team was getting the back end involved. And look, he did it with guys like Dylan DeMello getting involved. Neil Pionk had to get a little bit more involved. He made a nice play. And one of the plays that we've kind of, glazed over and we shouldn't have was when it was 0-0, Connor Hellebuyck actually had to make a really nice anticipation save on a Red Wings chance, which could have really impacted the game for the Jets had they given up an early goal. So even though he didn't face a lot of work, that was a nice early save by Connor Hellebuyck. Folks in the chat are lamenting because it's now 2-2.
It was Dominic Kubalik who had that chance you're thinking of.
That's David. Right. That's right. So it's 2-2, by the way, for folks who are paying attention in the hockey game between the Canucks and the Flames. But yeah, nice save by Connor Hellebuyck early in this game to maintain it as a 0-0-1. And then of course the Jets erupted for, as you guys just touched on. And Drew, I agree with you. I was curious to see how the Jets would come out from that second period because it's easy to take your foot off the gas a little bit.
Yeah, but human nature would be.
Generally speaking, but I think the Jets were hungry. I think the Jets knew that they needed to take advantage and get everybody a piece of that win. And that I think was the important part. People can say, well, it's the Detroit Red Wings, don't plan the parade. Nobody's saying that, right? It's kind of like, but at the same time,
the Red Wings just beat a Stanley Cup contender one night earlier, right?
Yes.
Like, so that's the thing too. Like, we talked about this. I'm not sure, Dave, if we talked about this after the Sharks game or after the Kings game, whatever. There's been a lot of games lately, but
yeah, of course.
I mean, these games at the end of the year, let's say the last 15 games, 10 games, whatever, they're unpredictable. And, we've seen the Coyotes beat good teams, right? Like we've seen the Sharks won yesterday. I forget who they beat yesterday. So look, you can say that they're a bad team, but these guys are playing for their own personal pride, professional pride. And they're also, a lot of these guys are playing for jobs for next,
That's
right? Like, so I think, you can really dismiss that. Like these are just teams playing. So it doesn't,
That's right.
And they don't it's not like the Jets before the game are like, oh, the Red Wings are out of the playoffs now. They're the 23rd team in the league. We got to beat them. That's not how these guys look at it. They have respect for their opponents.
Well, more, but Ezzy, here. I mean, you know how people are maligning the Jets winning over the Detroit Red Wings and saying don't plan the parade. Maybe they should. Our friend Lisa Danko, who's coming back from California, she took her son to see a bunch of the hockey games. Obviously, they stayed a little bit longer during spring break. They missed the Manitoba Moose spring break staycation because they were actually on vacation.
Yeah. This sounds like this was like the best trip ever for the Danko family.
Yeah, look at this. Not sure what's happening in Winnipeg tomorrow, but the Stanley Cup was on our flight back from LA today.
So I can answer that question.
Well, hold on, Drew.
Okay.
Remember this. I know you're excited. I can see.
Does it have anything to do with Kraft Hockeyville?
Drew is champing at the bit to jump in there, but Drew, just wait. You can champ in a second because we got to let the people who are listening via podcast hear the rest of the comment. The man carrying it, let my son get a picture with it. I thought it was pretty cool. Now, Drew, tell us why the Stanley Cup's coming to Winnipeg.
Awesome. The NHL United by Hockey Mobile History Museum was at the Hockey for All Center.
I was there today,
earlier today,
obviously representing Hockey Manitoba, and it's good that you mentioned that here, Drew, because I had no idea what was going on. There was a massive truck.
Yeah,
and they were telling people there were people parked because at the Iceplex there's essentially two sides, like it's a huge parking lot, but there's two sides, and they were telling people to move their cars. So that makes a lot of sense because why the Stanley Cup was there and what's going to go on, and it was involving the Hall of Fame as well.
Yeah, come celebrate the trailblazers, change makers, business leaders, and collectors of hockey at the United by Hockey Mobile Museum. So that was going on earlier today. At the Hockey for All Center.
You folks had questions. Drew has answers.
Yeah, exactly. You know, they don't publicize these things very well. When my kids were young, I'm trying to think. Yeah, we had just had our son. So my daughter would have been just about 2, and my son probably was maybe a month old or so.
Because Drew, they're really old now.
They are old now. It's been 5. This is like 5 years ago. You know, this has been a while. There was an event at the arena.
Our kids aren't old yet. We're old.
Well, there was an event at the arena. I don't even know exactly what the kind of event it was. Probably something similar to this, but it wasn't well advertised. And so I went with the kids because it was something to do. There weren't that many people there, but the Stanley Cup was there. So we all got photos with the Stanley Cup, and there was a ton of memorabilia. And this is, I don't exactly remember what it was. I just remember I have this photo of my kids who are wee little kids with the Stanley Cup.
This sounds like a lucid dream, Drew.
No, I have the photo. I can
longest story ever.
Longest story ever that went basically nowhere, but that's basically
man shakes fist up in air.
But sure, Drew, just quickly, because I'm going to quote Murat, who says that there was a nice moment by Mark Scheifele, asked what might become of the puck from his 39th goal, a new career high. Scheifele said it's for Jets assistant athletic therapist Brad Shaw, for Shawzy for his 1,000th pro game. That was for him. So nice, classy move by Mark Scheifele to give it to Bradshaw.
There you go. 4-0 for the Jets at this point in time. They make it 5-0 at the 13:42 mark of the second period. Nino Niederreiter, his 23rd assist to Mason Appleton and Dylan DeMello. So it's a 2-point game for DeMello and a 2-point game for Mason Appleton. This is just a really nice play by Nino Niederreiter. He knocks down a pass, he gets his own rebound, and he's very patient and somehow is able to slide it in between Magnus Hellberg after, gathering up the puck. And it's 5-0 for the Winnipeg Jets. Really nice, skillful play in tight. Again, there's a theme for tonight's Jets goals. They all came in tight for the most part. And this was certainly one of those there at Mr. Ginsburg.
Yeah, I mean, look, Mason Appleton, makes a nice play on this goal, but yeah, this is all I think I would say Nino here. Yeah. And yeah, you love the speed, you love going to the net, you love that Nino Niederreiter gets his own rebound. The Red Wings, like I said this to Dave as we were watching the game live at Canada Life Center, like I'm not sure the defensive coverage by the Red Wings was I don't know
lacking.
What was well. It's funny because look, second game of back-to-back. I mean, it was pretty easy for the Jets to gain the Red Wings zone here, but yeah, it wasn't good defensive coverage. But look, give Nino Niederreiter credit, right? Like he's been a little quiet lately. When he first was acquired by the Jets, right? Like he was scoring more goals, and he's still been contributing. But yeah, look, and Mason Appleton's another guy. Like he's been criticized quite a bit. Hasn't produced as much offense as he would like. He's also missed a lot of games, but this was one of his better games of the year. And, regardless if, these teams that the Jets are playing in the second game of the back-to-back, they don't care. They're going to try to win these games, right?
Sure.
Like, so again, these are professional hockey players. They can play. Like, even if you're, traveling a little bit, like these guys are paid to play in back-to-back situations. So love, how Appleton played tonight. And yeah, love the second effort there from Niederreiter.
5-0 for the Jets at this point in time. Quick update: the Canucks have retaken the lead. They're up 3-2 now in the latter half of the second period. So the goals are coming fast and furious.
Well, if the Flames lose to the Canucks tonight, Drew, they don't deserve to go to the playoffs.
Well, the Jets lost to San Jose on a couple nights ago there, Mr. Ginsburg. So one of these teams is likely to make it to the playoffs. One of these teams that doesn't deserve it is probably going to be a playoff team. The Jets wrapped up their goal scoring for the night. 6-0 goal is Nikolai Ehlers, his 10th of the year. Assist to Blake Wheeler and Nemesnikov. Nice pass by Wheeler, nice play by Nemesnikov, and then Ehlers makes no mistake on this one. That line showed a lot of chemistry, played well together tonight. Ehlers, Wheeler, Nemesnikov, not a line that was at the forefront of anyone's thinking that this is going to be the dominant line necessarily for the Jets, but those guys all played off of each other very well. Nemesnikov looking good in that center ice role, and Wheeler and Ehlers both succeeding as well. 6-0 for the Jets after 40 minutes, Mr. Ginsburg.
Yeah, and look, we were talking about it earlier, and we'll dive deeper into this on tomorrow's show. But the thing with Nemesnikov is, he kind of presents a little bit of a conundrum, right? Because Nemesnikov, I don't know if he fits in really on the wing on the third line, right? But that Scheifele is eventually going to go back to center, so I don't know. That's just something. Maybe the Nemesnikov conundrum is what we can call the segment tomorrow, Drew. But I really like Nemesnikov's game, right? Like, he's definitely a guy, that you're not going to expect to score a ton. But he's just a very smart player.
Just a smart player.
Yeah. And so, Nemesnikov first save. And again, like same thing. The Red Wings are just all scrambling around. And again, back to the theme, going to the slot, going to get those rebounds, getting to the greasy areas. Mm-hmm. That's a very un-Ehlers-like goal. But, that's the type of stuff you need to do when you're not scoring as much and you're in a bit of a losing slump, a bad stretch of hockey, right? Again, so the goal's not pretty. It's definitely not, a nice shot like Dylan DeMello's, but again, sometimes hockey's not pretty, right? Like that's the reality. Ehlers, Connor, like these are beautiful skaters and players that like, and Morrissey, same thing. Like it's you hear a lot about edge work and their speed and their skating and everything like that, but hockey's also a game that, you just have to sometimes go to the net and get a rebound. And that's what Ehlers did here.
And that's exactly right. Just go to the dirty areas. Good things happen. I know it's said over and over and over again, but the Jets, for a team that's been far too perimeter based today, they weren't a perimeter team. And as a result, they got 6 goals. And for this Jets team, in the last little while, it's taken them 4 games to get 6 goals total, never mind 40 minutes like they did tonight in getting their 6 goals to make it 6-0 for the Jets. They'd go on to a 6-2 victory. Gentlemen, are you okay? The only thing I want to mention, before we wrap up the Betway game recap, I don't think we need to delve deep into the Red Wings 2 goals, but Neil Pionk's play to break up the potential penalty shot was a really good hustle and a really good defensive play. Sorry, a breakaway. Really good hustle, really good defensive play by a guy who's taken a lot of slings and arrows, deservedly so, this season, but want to praise him when we have the opportunity to do so. This is one of those cases where he deserves some praise for coming back and preventing a scoring opportunity. Of course, the Red Wings end up getting those 2 late goals. Ultimately, they don't matter too much. They just mean that the Jets win by tripling the Red Wings score as opposed to winning by that 6-0 margin. A very good effort, a complete game by the Winnipeg Jets, a team that was desperately in need of doing so. Before we go to break and come back for the second half shenanigans on this show, we want to make mention Kraft Hockeyville. Voting is going on until tomorrow at 4 p.m. Central Time. St. Anne, Manitoba is in the running to host an NHL game and win $250,000. So if you haven't already done so, head over to Kraft Hockeyville and vote for St. Anne, Manitoba. Hockeyville.craftcanada.ca.
Crafthockeyville.ca.
or that one as well. Both of them work to get to the web page. We'll put a link in the comments as well right now.
And they're going to announce the winner, Drew, tomorrow, I think around 5.
Okay,
so it's not like you're going to have to wait. And obviously, we've been promoting it through Hockey Manitoba, right? I was doing some voting today, but yeah, keep voting. It's unlimited, so you can literally sit there. Like I was sitting there at Hockey for All Center while we were running our POE programs, encouraging people to vote and also voting myself. Basically, like you'll vote 10 times, then you'll have to do the reCAPTCHA, and then after a certain time, you have to log in again. But you can vote unlimited for as long as you want, and then we'll find out who wins tomorrow. So hopefully they get the $250,000 for the Maurice Chaput Arena.
So what you're saying, this is one of the more productive days of work that you've had in recent memory.
I would say yes. It was a very productive day. It was a fun day. I love to be out at the rink. Like most of the time, I'm in the office, right, just pushing paper. But yeah, I like to get out there. We had over 200 kids on the ice today.
Hey, good for you. Then I assume you wowed them all with tales of you scoring that game tying goal when you were in Adam A3 playing for River Heights back in the day. And they were saying
it's weird because they're like, just why is this creepy guy with the beer talking to me? I just want my Gatorade.
That's right. Why is fake Santa telling us about his accolades from years ago? Why is he still around? In any event, there.
Hey, 28 years ago today, Tommy Boy was released, so maybe. As he was doing his best Chris Farley impression.
That was a very seminal movie for me. I mean, as you guys know, Sandler, Farley, I mean, that's, well, not just for me. I mean, our generation.
Spade.
Yeah, David Spade, throw him in there. Well, I know. I'm just saying, like, you know.
Oh, I think you're talking about the movie specifically.
Yeah, Sandler wasn't in that movie, but that era of SNL.
Well, I don't think at any point in time when that movie came out and when Adam Sandler was sort of breaking onto the scene that any of us thought that we'd see him getting the Mark Twain Award for humor. From the Kennedy Center, like we did earlier this week.
Since that movie, Adam Sandler has produced 425 movies.
You know what? And he's made about $425 billion in doing so. But actually, the best part is all he says is, he just wants to make movies with his buddies. So that's what he did. If somebody's going to pay you to make movies with your friends, then why the hell not? Right.
Well, if you haven't seen That's My Boy, you're missing out.
There you go. Much more to come. Shenanigans galore up next. Neck cracking video. We'll got some post-game comments from the Jets dressing room, contests. We're about almost an hour into the show.
More everything.
Don't go anywhere. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Not like we have a show tomorrow in 12 hours.
No, not like we have anything like that at all. More like 10 and a half hours. Don't be late, Dave. It's the Illegal Curve post-game show. We're live on our YouTube channel and all of our social media platforms.
Jerry Seinfeld, Chris Rock, Jon Stewart, Dennis Miller, Brad Garrett, the biggest acts and all the up-and-comers. They've all made their mark at Rumors Comedy Club, North America's longest-running independent comedy club. Rumors has kept Winnipeg laughing for over 25 years. When was the last time you laughed out loud? Make it a great night out with friends or book your office or birthday party, even a fundraising event at Rumors. Get all the details and dates on upcoming shows at rumorscomedyclub.com.
He winds up. Oh, looks like Ezzy took that one right in the choppers.
A blistering fast puck hurts like HE double hockey sticks. That's why I let the pros at Linden Market Dental Center turn my yow into
wow.
Get your brilliant smile back with state-of-the-art restorative and cosmetic dentistry from real pros.
And remember, always wear a mouth guard.
Now that's solid on ice advice. Learn more at lindenmarketdentalcenter.com. Creating smiles for life.
Whoa, Ezzy, everything okay? You look stressed.
Of course I'm stressed. We're moving, the house is upside down, the kids failed miserably at packing the fine china, and my life is in chaos. Chaos!
Yes, that does sound like a problem.
What am I going to do?
Ezzy, relax. Rolly's Transfer Moving and Storage is the answer. With 60 years of experience in moving Manitobans and a track record of exemplary customer service, one call to Rolly's and your stress is gone. No job is too big or too small. Just visit Rollies.com and they will take it from there.
Thanks, Dave, and thank you, Rollies Transfer Moving and Storage, online at Rollies.com.
Dave, my man, why are you in the car already? It's hours until game time.
Drew, it's because I'm stressed out right now, driving around downtown Winnipeg, looking for a parking spot, and I'm not finding one. I've lost Ginsburg. I don't even know where that guy is right now.
Dave, haven't I taught you anything? Do what I do. Pre-book your entire month's worth of game day parking with the Grid Park app. It's super easy to use and saves me both time and stress.
Well, Drew, I'm not independently wealthy like you are. So I'm sorry that I don't have millions of dollars to pre-book my parking month in advance. What's that going to cost you? $25?
How about $5?
Come on, $5? No way.
$5. I'm not telling you a lie. And our listeners can get a free park with the new special promo code Illegal Curve. Guess what? There's more.
Come on, there's more, Drew. You're lying to me. What more could there be?
Grid Park now has underground parking, so my car can stay warm during the game.
So wait a second. All the driving around I do, looking for parking, minus 40. You're telling me I could be toasty warm in a car after the hockey game?
That's exactly what I'm telling you. Underground parking. Just download the Grid Park app. That's GRYD Park and use the code Illegal Curve. All one word. You'll park for free your first time.
Hi, it's Drew from Illegal Curve here. Selling your home can be stressful, but it wasn't for me. Thanks to my friends at Zappia Group Realty, they made the process so easy. My home sold within 48 hours and with multiple offers. Zappia Group Realty took care of everything with their exquisite customer service and attention to detail. If you want to sell your home for more in less time, get started by talking to Frank and Mauro Zappia of Zappia Group Realty. Online at zappiagroup.com.
For 3 generations and over 80 years, Tough Duck has been making apparel that works and plays as hard as the people who wear it. From jackets to work boots and everything in between, Tough Duck's clothing can handle the harshest environments, even the Illegal Curve hockey show. Work to live, live to play. Visit toughduck.com. Hope you folks took the over in the Flames Canucks game. The Flames tied it up, and then it took the Canucks all of 14 seconds to regain the lead. So it is now 4-3 Vancouver over Calgary late in the second period. The Canucks have 4 goals on 12 shots. The Flames have 3 goals on 24 shots. I don't know. I'm going to double check who's in net. I would assume it'd be Markstrom. At least he probably started in net. Whether or not he's still there or not, I couldn't tell you. But it's not a goaltenders duel in Vancouver whatsoever. 4-3. The Canucks now leading.
In net, he'd stop more pucks.
It is Markstrom in net for Calgary, and it's Thatcher Demko in net for Vancouver.
Well,
so 2
goalies. That's the story, Drew. As you know, we've talked about the Flames, right? Like scoring goals. Even though you'd like, maybe Jonathan Huberdeau, for example, to be putting the puck in more.
Yeah.
I mean, it's been the goaltending, right? Like it's been the defense and goaltending, which has really killed them. I mean, like the fact that you can't, lock down or, prevent a few goals from the Canucks. Like it's not like you're playing the 80s Oilers here, but that's been the issue. If the Flames end up missing the playoffs, that's what everybody's going to be talking about is, Markstrom's season and, how this Flames team, they can't hold on to a lead. They just allow way too many goals.
They certainly do. So we'll keep an eye on that. And of course, much with the result of that game will be discussed tomorrow on the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. back here. We're going to be joined by Frank Saravelli in hour number 1, 9:30 a.m. Central Time. Our good friend Frank Saravelli from Daily Faceoff is going to join us. And then in hour number 2, Rennie himself, we're going to let him sleep in, make sure he's got that beauty sleep, make sure the hair is on full.
He told me actually that he just wants to be referred to as the Flow. Don't call him Sean Reynolds. Just call him.
It looked good tonight, though. I will say.
Yeah, the flow was in.
I will say for Brett Bellamy's benefit, it looked really good in the press box.
Yeah, exactly. Brent, I know
hashtag humble brag.
You can go back in the chat if you want to see why Dave is calling out Brent for that. But in any event, it's
I'm not calling him out. I'm making notes. I don't want to call out Brent. I'm just making note. Note.
I know you are right. We're just making note there. Here's some of the post-game comments. Rick Bonus, pleased with Scheifele, Connor, and Wheeler all scoring. We've got a very tough opponent coming in here on Sunday with the Devils, so it's good to get those guys on the scoreboard. They've all had plenty of scoring opportunities over the last couple of weeks, and it just hasn't gone in. The puck had to go in for us. You need some breaks. Look at Mark's goal. All of a sudden, he's coming around the net. He knocks it in. It's there. We haven't had those breaks in a long time. Even that first goal, the tip, that being the Kyle Connor one, we haven't had that luck around the net in a long time. It was good to see. So Rick Bowness happy with his team's effort, about the performance of the team without Josh Morrissey. Give those guys credit. DeMello had a great game. Neil Pionk, that's one of his best games. Brendan Dillon was really good. So was Dylan Sandberg. They all did their job, and they all picked up the slack. Nikolai Ehlers with a funny comment about Dylan DeMello's goal. Quote, I mean, that was a snipe. That was pretty incredible. I think everyone was just looking at each other going, what the hell just happened? Continuing on, he's such a great guy off the ice and works hard every game on the ice. It couldn't have happened to a better guy. What he does for this team is pretty huge. It's exciting for us. And I can only hope that Nikolai Ehlers was referencing Will Ferrell's performance from Old School with his quote, because that, of course, is what just happened after Will Ferrell goes off on the debate portion of that classic.
I think Nick Ehlers blacked out, Drew.
Yeah, exactly. Well, I think he blacked out watching Dylan DeMello snipe that goal, which I think was the 4th goal for the Winnipeg Jets tonight.
Yep.
So a lot of good vibes around the team, a team that was in desperate need of good vibes, and they get it with their 6-2 victory tonight. Ezzy, Tough Duck, hardest hitting comment. Who's getting it for tonight's game?
Yeah, lots of good comments as always. So we thank everybody for commenting and sticking around with us here as we approach, what is it, about an hour and 5 minutes here.
Yeah.
Sent you the comment there, Drew. We're going to give it to Chris, Jets fan. Love this comment. I felt all of the players were trying tonight. It has not looked that way for the last month or so. The national media was noticing too. Maybe that was the impetus for changed attitudes. And look Rick Bowness has called his team out before, and they haven't responded with this type of effort. But I think this was different after a really disappointing California road trip. Friday night, with the Red Wings in town, knowing that you've got a tough Devils team coming up on Sunday night. And then obviously, we talked about it, Nashville and Calgary next week as the homestand continues, right? Like, this is do or die time for the Jets. And without Josh Morrissey, right, we would have been talking about, Josh Morrissey a lot more if the Jets had lost this game or hadn't played really well. But this was a convincing win. So I like that comment from Chris. Send me an email, Ezra@illegalcurve.com. And with your mailing info, and Tough Duck will send out a toque to you. Even though it's going to be very nice this weekend, you still might have to use that toque for another few weeks. So
there you go. Congratulations to Chris, Jets fan.
I did see that. I saw one guy predict that by mid-April we're supposed to be low 20s. So I'm like, okay, well, that's good.
And we mentioned this. I don't know if Drew, you were on that. I think I want to mention it, but if the Jets do make the playoffs, we are in discussions.
Drew was not on this.
Tough Duck will be. We will be giving away different apparel because obviously the season has changed and it's the playoffs. So we're going to be giving away something that's more for the spring/summer.
There you go. That'll be important. Now to the most important part of tonight's game, and we'll get to the.
Drew, why don't you? I would wait for this. Trust me. You might want to wait. Let's just do the IC merch contest, and then we'll do that after.
Okay, fine. We'll do the IC merch.
Can we not do the IC merch contest while just having that video on loop?
I'm sure that we can. The IC merchandise contest, if you haven't already done so, the way to enter is go to the drop down arrow on our YouTube channel, click the link for the contest. If you can't find it on YouTube, go to our website, illegalcurve.com. Basically, any of the articles on illegalcurve.com will have a link to the contest page where you enter in the unique code for the Illegal Curve contest. The unique code for tonight is in honor of the Detroit Red Wings and their history with the Winnipeg Jets. $1 man is the unique code for the Illegal Curve contest tonight. Enter that and you may get your name drawn to win some great merchandise courtesy of us here at Illegal Curve. So again, the unique code for tonight, $1 man. That is the code to enter to get 10 bonus entries into the Illegal Curve merchandise contest. Dave, I'm going to put the name on the screen. Why don't you say who the winner of tonight?
Sure, you didn't give the explanation though as to why with the $1 man.
Oh, sorry, you're right. Of course, that references the Winnipeg Jets and they're giving up on Chris Draper back in the day.
And how many Stanley Cups did Chris Draper get, Drew?
More than one.
Three.
Yeah,
Four, right?
4.
Exactly.
Yeah, he was part of all of them. Yeah.
Yeah, so another one of those legendary moves by former general manager Mike Smith of the Winnipeg Jets did not work out so well making that decision. In any
John Chan wanted to know. He said, "What's the story behind $1 Man?"
Oh, well, there you go. The Winnipeg Jets drafted Chris Draper, the Winnipeg Jets 1.0, of course. They developed Chris Draper. Then they gave up on Chris Draper literally and gave him to the Detroit Red Wings in exchange for $1. So that didn't work out well. If you want to do some simple math there, the 4 Stanley Cups that Draper won were more than the
part
$1.
of the famous grind line with Drew. Who was on the grind line?
Oh boy, Ezzy.
You know this. You know
I don't.
this.
My brain is
number 25. Remember 25. Number 25, and I forget what number the other guy was.
18, I think.
18. Kirk Maltby and Darren McCarty.
Yeah, I knew McCarty. I just couldn't think of Maltby's name. Yeah. I knew it was McCarty, but I couldn't think of
I thought you'd get that one for sure.
Yeah, I just couldn't. Maltby's name did not come to my mind. That was the problem.
We were sitting beside him years ago. I don't know if he's still a pro scout with the Red
Wings. Where were we sitting beside him?
Sorry. Yeah, this is for Bells. We were Dave and I were up in the press box.
For the record, that was when we were on the south side of the press box.
South side. Yep. Now we're on the north side. But anyways, yeah, we were talking to Kurt. Super nice guy. Anyways, yeah, that was Draper's line back in the day. What a career he had.
There you go. Exactly right. And the winner of the contest, Dave M. I'm putting it on the screen. You make the announcement.
Drum roll, please. Neil Barry. Neil Barry is the winner of the IC merch contest. So congratulations,
Tyson's brother.
Neil. Yeah, younger brother. And then so well done for Neil. And I know that a lot of folks have been getting their stuff and are happy with their stuff. More folks are going to be getting their stuff this week. And don't worry, if you haven't gotten it, it's slowly but surely getting out to some folks. And like I said, I had a great chat with Joe from Winnipeg. And we actually I had to do a trade for one of the with one of our contest winners because they won a jersey, but they ended up choosing
an illegal curve hoodie.
An illegal curve hoodie.
Wow.
We had an illegal curve hoodie, and so they went with the illegal curve hoodie. I mean, I don't disagree. I think that was a great choice. And then I think, well, that was Tom.
You've also offered them Girl Guide cookies.
I did. I offered them your Girl Guide cookies, Ezzy, not mine, because I want to eat those ones. But
you should know better than to put me in possession of cookies that you want to eat, Dave. That's just going to be a recipe for disaster for you.
I know. That's I haven't paid you yet.
So I can't wait till I get those cookies from Bailey because I'm going to rage eat those cookies like nothing I've ever rage ate before.
I'm not even touching that one. Not a chance. Just no good can come out of dealing with that comment at all. Let's go to our more important content to wrap up tonight's show. Reminder, the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, 9 a.m. tomorrow, back here on our YouTube channel. Lots of Jets talk coming your way, 2 hours worth of it. This gentleman, and I want to say that I want him to be clear, we are not making fun of this gentleman. This gentleman, as far as I'm concerned, is a hero and deserves all the accolades in the world because what he does here is something that I couldn't imagine doing and not end up hospitalized. So the fact he's able to do this with the amount of torque that he does it with is just.
Hold on, did you slow this down?
No, I'm just playing it off of my second screen.
I thought you edited it here for.
No, I didn't. I did not edit it. If you want, Dave actually put it to music, so you can check out the music version on our Twitter feed. I couldn't play the music version here, due to copyright reasons.
Somebody texted Dave, Matt Liang, who listens to the show, and it's his cousin.
Well, we want to interview him. Tell Matt, Dave, to get in touch with us. This gentleman deserves all of the praise that he can get. Because this guy deserves to be famous. This is like, remember when David Letterman used to do stupid human tricks on the Late Show with David Letterman? This would qualify as one of those stupid human tricks, I believe. This is incredible. I mean, does he not have neck ligaments? Like, what is happening in this video? I demand to know more information about how he's able to do this without being phased by it at all. It's really incredible.
I wish I had the neck mobility that he has. Like, I feel like after doing that, you would feel so much more relaxed.
I don't know how you're going to feel, but whatever, like, he seems like this is obviously something. This isn't for an amateur to do. Like, you can't pull this off if you haven't already done this once, twice, or 500 times in your life. But look how he's just jabbing at that neck.
Yeah.
It's like, I mean, this is something that I would hope he's a trained professional.
He's got great facial hair too, I gotta say.
Yes, there's no question about that. But I mean, the neck movement is something that is just out of this world. So if we can get in touch with this gentleman, we'd like to speak with him.
Well, here we go. You asked for it. You got it. We got Matt.
We got Matt.
Will. There's Matt.
We can't really hear you.
I don't care.
Okay, go in the front then, boys.
No, look at the camera.
No. If you're going to do points,
Crack your neck for the camera.
if Seattle wins and fucking Kelsey.
So there you go. You got Matt, and we got Matt. This is Matt's cousin, Will.
Not right now, but I'm just saying, you're not gonna.
And there goes Will. But we had him. We had them briefly. On. If we can get Will on, we'll get him back on. Maybe remove his neck. Drew, now his neck thing is making me uncomfortable. Let's get these guys back on.
I don't think that they knew that they were live there, Dave.
Fake? Were they fake live?
Well, I'm just not sure. I don't think they weren't talking to us. So I'm not sure what that
so
was.
Hang on. What's his name? His name is Will?
His name's Will.
So get him back on. Message Matt and say
I think they might be imbibing tonight a little bit.
Well, they were drinking, but the point was, I mean, who cares? It was funny. I thought it was, I mean, we had Spencer jump on, and look, I mean, this is very similar to when we had the Sackers.
We need a full interview with Will. Yeah, you're right. That is like the Heritage Classic sacking video. 20,000 plus YouTube views.
Yeah,
exactly. So, that's actually what. In little known fact, it actually got illegalcurve.com back in business.
The video, yes. I mean that was it. So are we bringing them back on? What's happening here?
Yeah, let's get them back on. Will,
can you hear us?
Well, what does your cousin think about all this attention?
You're on the Illegal Curve post-game show, boys. What's up?
Play like tonight, like every other night. Booked it from next week.
If they play like tonight, but how often? But how often do they play like tonight?
But how your neck?
Are you guys at Bar Italia? It's really dark there.
We can't hear you guys. It's too loud in here. But we say Will says the Jets need to keep playing the way that they did tonight.
They need to play better defense. I'm sorry. Be better. In the light. My beer. In the light.
Okay.
You never know what's going to happen on the Illegal Curve post game show. There you go.
A lot better defense here.
What's up, boys?
How is your neck?
Tonight was the best I played.
Will,
That's how they gotta play. That's how they gotta fucking play right now.
Can Will tell us how to stretch like that with his neck?
Yeah, Will, how is your neck?
How do you do that with your neck, Will?
Will, they want to know how your night was.
No, his neck.
Yeah,
how do you do that with your neck, Will?
Hello.
Your neck.
Okay, you got. But no, I'm serious. Seriously, like look.
I love Will. Will, you rule. I love you, man.
I don't know what you said.
Your neck, Will. How is your neck?
What?
How's your neck?
They want to know.
I was sleeping on an airplane for a long ass time, and so it was like it hurt.
Will, you have provided us with a lot of joy and entertainment tonight. Thank you, my friend.
Broken, man. Wait. What?
Do you know that you were on TV with doing your neck exercise?
Do you know that you were on TV?
I did not know at that time. No. Sacrifice a life for a win.
It hit the group chat right away. Let's just put it that way.
Okay, good.
All right, thanks, Matt. We appreciate it.
We're glad to see that you're up and you're doing okay. We'll let you get on with your night, guys. Thank you.
Appreciate it, Matt.
Thank you, gentlemen.
Thanks, Will.
Night, Will. Man, that guy rules.
You know what? There's nothing better. There is nothing better. As soon as Ezzy and I were sitting on that couch watching that game, just the insanity.
We knew we had something. We knew we had
something. We knew we had something. And then the best was I got a message from Matt on our Illegal Curve Instagram saying that he was going to be, that's his cousin, and that he was going to meet him. And so, Drew, I liked how, that's why I said do this after, because he was going to be a few more minutes. Okay. And then I was like, I didn't want to tell you. I just kind of wanted to bring him on.
We have a spin-off show here, boys. I think we got something.
So, you know what? Look, like when, like as he said, during the 2010, I think it was 2010 Illegal Curve. No, sorry, 2010 Heritage Classic, when we were watching Metric, who was playing the halftime show or whatever it was. They were, and all of a sudden I'm watching it. And they
Poo stain.
What?
Poo stain.
Well, it is an IC exclusive, but the point is that not only so we saw the Sacker, then we had the Sacker and the Sacky on the Illegal Curve hockey show. So, look, sometimes we talk hockey, sometimes we talk about God knows what. And then every once in a while, we get a one-on-one exclusive with an internet celebrity.
This is like Piers Morgan and Kanye.
Like Will. So just thanks, Will, for being a good sport. That was a lot of fun. Thanks for Matt for getting in touch with me. And I hope everyone enjoyed the insanity that is the Illegal Curve.
Send me Matt's number. I want to party with Will tonight.
A big thank you to all of you for joining us on this post-game show. We remind you that the Illegal Curve Hockey Show comes your way tomorrow morning, 9 a.m. So rest up, because we'll be back in just about 10 hours' time. We want to say a big thank you to all the sponsors of the Illegal Curve who make the post-game show, the Saturday show, and the website a possibility. Our friends at Rumors Restaurant and Comedy Club, Linden Market Dental Center, Zappia Group Realty, Betway, Tough Duck, Boston Pizza, Seagram's, Rolly's Transfer, Grid Park, and The Keg support these fine businesses because of their continued support of Illegal Curve hockey. Winnipeg Jets win 6-2, but that's secondary to the fact that we got in touch with Will and Matt and spoke to Neck-Cracking Guy. We'll be back at 9 a.m. tomorrow.
You can't call him Neck-Cracking Guy. He's Will.
Will the Neck-Cracking Guy.
The Neck-Cracking Guy.
Yeah.
Newest member of the IC Whack Pack.
Yeah. Will the Neckcracker is his name. Thanks to everybody for joining us. Dave Manouk's in the top right. Ezra Ginsburg's in the bottom middle. Until tomorrow morning at 9 a.m. I'm Drew Mindell, and we wish you good night and good luck. And thanks for watching the Illegal Curve post-game show.
Thanks for listening to this broadcast from Illegal Curve Hockey. For more great Illegal Curve content, subscribe to the Illegal Curve YouTube channel, follow at Illegal Curve on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram, and visit your online home for hockey in Winnipeg, illegalcurve.com.